Hello again. Another quote of the day for you guys. A choice is neither good nor bad. It is simply one step of many in a direction of consequences I must learn to accept. It took me a while to come to terms with choice and consequence, cause and effect. I think I was a slow learner on picking up that little gem. Because no matter what situation, right? No matter what place we find ourselves, it's ultimately on us, uh, singular or collective. Whether you're talking personally or socially or whatever, it's on us. I made my choices throughout life that sometimes took me to some very very dark places that at times it seemed I wouldn't get out of, but somehow I'm still here. And some of those choices that seem to lead me into such a dark place are also what made me find such beauty. Also, made me be able to dive deep in myself. My mind, my emotions, my experiences, my understanding, my perception, and I kind of I kind of always believed that the deeper I can go in things, in everything, in anything, the more I can discover about it and understand about it or myself or whatever is is the more I'll be able to change and evolve and recognize those patterns and behaviors that I don't believe I should have, that have been drilled into me either by nature or nurture. And those things are there for a reason, obviously. Like the ego, I hear people talk about like trying to get rid of their ego. Like this new age spiritual thing is all about like, you know, oh, I don't have an ego. Everyone has an ego. You can't live without an ego. It's literally a requirement of your mental capabilities. If you didn't have an ego, you wouldn't be able to converse with people. You wouldn't be able to get through a day-to-day task that you do every day, because that requires you being present in yourself. Without ego, you would be uh, whatever, schizophrenic, I guess. I mean, people that like have no perception of what the majority of us consider to be reality are people without egos. I don't think that's what people really want when they say they don't have an ego. I don't think they quite grasp what that means. It's like if you've ever done any hallucinogens, and I don't just mean herb, which is technically a psychotropic drug, but I mean like either strong acid, peyote, mushrooms, ayahuasca. There's a lot of them. Those are the main four that are going to get you like out of your mind, and it's like that. It's literally I do not understand the things that are happening around me right now. There's like I work in technology, for instance. I've done it almost my entire life. Since 8 years old, running DOS code to play Duke Nukem on my grandfather's computer, and then taking them apart, putting them back together, everything with computers. I actually really love technology, um, but anytime I've been in that state, that hallucinogenic state, I can't work technology to save my life. I can't type on a keyboard, and normally I can do it with my eyes closed without while talking to someone else. I can type perfectly, but if I'm in that state, I don't function that way. You lose part of that filter. That's what the ego is. It's a filter. It's the I, this body and being needs to stay understanding of itself as a singular entity in order for it to survive. And that's what it's the defense. It's the primal defense. And while getting out of that sometimes, in small doses can be healthy and helpful, in my personal opinion, um, it's not something I think would be beneficial long term, because it comes with certain constraints, like communication is one of them. I can't fucking talk to someone normally and understand someone normally while I'm in that state, even if I've done it my entire fucking life. You can't. It removes that filter that interprets everything as norm, and so the thing is for me that my choices have always ended up leading me to feel hurt, honestly. Um, I've experienced what I consider to be a lot of betrayal in life. It's probably something to do with the way I grew up, living in the past, all that good stuff. And, we all have stuff like that. And we all try to either ignore it or move past it or forgive or whatever, however you want to put it. I choose to try and just learn from it. I don't want to necessarily forget it. I don't want to ignore it, absolutely. And I don't want to repress it or dilute it or anything like that. I simply want to make sure that I'm learning from it. That's the big deal, is whatever choice I made, that's not my concern after it's been made. Like, there's no point in regretting it or feeling guilty about it or diluting it. It's that choice was what I did. I need to be truthful and honest about that, and then I need to accept the consequences. And that's the trick, is learning from those consequences after accepting them, which is the hardest part, is taking something from it so that you don't do the same thing if you don't want to. Take from it what you can that you did, that you liked, that you feel like you did the way you want to do things, and the rest of it leave behind and go, okay, I'm not going to do that part again. And even if you do it again, it's about you continuing to try. Well, I shouldn't say you. It's about everything I'm saying is I do this. My opinion is just me, but for me, I need to not, or I'm sorry, I need to take something from that. I need to learn and leave the rest behind. And each time that I do that, if I continuously remind myself, whether through whatever source, technology, my own meditation, however you want to do it, as long as I keep reminding myself, eventually it'll cause that neural network in there to loosen on that habit and make a new one of the one that I'm constantly thinking about and reminding myself of. And it's a lot of effort. It's a lot of work. It's so much harder than going to the gym and working out day to day. It's so much harder than eating healthy. It's so much harder than quitting smoking. It's because that's the ego trying to keep itself safe. It's a defense mechanism. And I have my own little theories. Some of them maybe even conspiracy theories or full-on conspiracies for all I know. But I have my theories that it's part of our culture to repress and deny and wear a mask is how I've always thought about it. Like, we don't want to admit to ourselves, and certainly not to others, that we're fucked up, because everyone is. We all do fucked up things. We all do things that at some point in our lives we've gone, I don't want to tell anyone or show anyone this side of me. I don't want them to see it. I'm going to act instead as though that's not the case. And every single person in their entire life, I don't care who it is, has done this. That it's a natural thing. It's manipulation, but I mean, it's subconscious. It's something that's not like intentional, but But ignorance is no excuse. And if any of you are like me, then you recognize it when it happens. Because I notice it when I do it. I notice it when other people do it. And I'm the type that calls people on their bullshit, and I call myself on my own even more. I'm pretty goddamn harsh on myself, actually. Um, and I I don't feel like it's necessarily a bad or wrong thing, but I think it's better to be loving to yourself most of the time. Generally speaking, you want to be as loving as possible to yourself, because this goes along with psychology. Like, if you're not loving to yourself, you can't accept someone else loving you. Like, it'll literally just not your mind won't allow it to happen, because you don't treat yourself that way. Therefore, you cannot accept that and give that to others and from others. Like, our minds are extremely powerful. They're way more powerful than what even scientifically we think and what we're willing to believe, in my opinion. I think I think the mind is where all the power is, to be honest. I think it's mind over matter. Like, our perception, and this is, in my opinion, from many, many studies and tests that have been done on stuff like placebo effect and magicians even, and uh, these people that get away with like talking to the dead for relatives and shit and all that stuff. You can make yourself believe anything, and we do it day to day, every day. We walk out the door going, "Oh, I'm gonna eat healthy today," and then, "Oh, I don't have time." "Oh, yeah, I'm really trying though, but I don't have time. I'm just gonna run by Jack in the Box. I don't have time to eat healthy today." 5, 6 days a week I don't eat healthy because I don't have time. And then on Sunday I'd have a salad and I feel like, oh, okay, I'm starting to eat healthy. And I do that for 1 week, and then every month I go buy lettuce and all this shit, spinach, all this shit, and then I never finish. I throw part of it out because I'm trying. Like, my conscious, intentional mind is saying, you should do these things. This is what makes sense. Why are you not doing this? And then it's habit. It's the same thing I've done it's the same thing we've all done our entire lives, is what we're used to doing. The easy way, the convenient way. And there's a lot of factors to include in that. In my opinion, the biggest one is our society. We've allowed society but to become a place where we're allowed to do that. If God forbid, we lowered the work week hours, but raised the rate of pay so that companies could only make $1 million a year instead of 8 trillion or billion or however many fucking dollars they make in a year, a lot of them, then we would have more time for that kind of stuff. That's what we should be doing. There'd be a healthier, more loving life for everyone involved. Why aren't we doing that? Well, because the American dream, because the Western culture says that what we're supposed to do is work so that hopefully by the time we're old enough to not want to travel and do shit, that we'll have the time and money. Just work for your pension, work for your 401k, work to save all of this stuff that you may never be able to use. And even if you get to that point and you can, half the time you've worked so long you can't do anything but work. I know tons of older people that are just like, I don't know what to do with myself after they retire or get out of the military or 20 years or whatever. They're stuck in that. They have to do that. I don't want that. You don't want that. Nobody wants that. So why are we doing that? Why are we allowing the corporations and governments to say that's what we have to do? That's slavery. If you guys don't want to do that shit and you feel like you have to do that, that's slavery. Like, oh no, if I don't do this, I'm going to be homeless and starving and all that stuff, when in reality, it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be work till you die. 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 It shouldn't be that way. It doesn't make sense. just for me again, this is the same thing I said in the last video. Like, people, obviously, the majority of people don't agree with me. So what I'm saying is insane to them. Um, but when I get back to that, like, homeless and starving thing, anyway, they don't have to be in my family. They don't have to be my neighbor. They don't have to be my countrymen. They're my brothers and sisters. They're an interdependent part of this species that I am a part of, that I want to survive. I want to be healthy and happy and loving, that I know that we can be. And you can't in this society. You can't be that way. If you walked around in a constant state of unconditional love around a world of people that the majority of them are going to try to take advantage of you, you would die quickly. That's what would happen. You'd be taken advantage of to the point where you either committed suicide or someone killed you, or you just starved to death, or died to the elements. Altruistic personality is not an option in our life, in our culture, the way it currently is. There's not been a person, no one. I don't care if you want to say it was Martin Luther King or Gandhi or Mother Teresa or any of the popes or even fucking Jesus, if that motherfucker actually existed. None of them were completely altruistic, or they would have just, well, okay, based on the story of Jesus, he would be the closest representation of what we'd have to altruist. But I don't see. I'm not a proponent, nor a fan, nor a believer in anything about the Bible being fact. Okay, it may be based extremely loosely on an individual, but I don't believe there's a God that had a son and gave him to mankind to sacrifice. Like, I mean, none of that shit makes any sense to me. Like, but he's their own. You're not wrong. I'm not wrong. You're not right. I'm not right. You're opinionated. And I'm opinionated, and we're entitled to that. But what I don't get, though, is why it's so hard for us to choose such an obvious path of not destroying ourselves, not being a disease and a plague on this planet. Like, if we're the only species that isn't living in harmony with all of the other species and planet, then I mean, I'm just saying, to me, obviously, we're not doing something properly. We're askew in our evolutionary process, right? Like, everyone else sees that, right? There's no possible way that we can be an interdependent being, which we have to be for survival, but there's no possible way we can be an interdependent being while we're destroying other creatures we're interdependent of. And other life forms, not just creatures. Trees and plants are going extinct all the time because of what we're doing. And it's directly related to what we're doing. It's not like they're happening naturally, because obviously many species of many types of animals and plants and whatever, they go extinct naturally. It happens. But that's not for us to decide. That we don't get to decide that. That's not something we should decide. And if we continue trying to decide that, there will be repercussions. We're making choices to go the route that we're going. Our choices have consequences, and we don't seem to be okay understanding it. We don't seem to grasp the consequences. We don't seem to grasp what's going to happen from our choices. And that confuses me, because it seems so clear to me, honestly. Like, yeah, it would be a lot of work to change society, and fuck if I have all the answers, because I don't. But I mean, let's try. Can we try? Because the alternative to not trying is destruction. That it's a guarantee. um, no matter what. Like, we're if you continue to move to a spot that has resources, suck up all the resources, and then leave it barren, and then move to another spot, suck up all the resources, and continue that trend, eventually there's going to be no resources. Like, eventually we have to die, and then nature just takes over again. You know how quickly it would take? Like, if we nuked ourselves or biologically or chemically weaponed ourselves to death, or any number of other alternatives like natural disasters, maybe, who knows? Um, you know how quickly nature would just overrun everything we've created and leave next to no trace in the next billion years, million years, 250,000. I don't know exactly how long it would take for steel to turn into oil or whatever, but probably billions of years, maybe millions. I don't know. But the point is that that's inevitable, and on our current path is that we will do that, and nature will just overrun everything again. And if it has to start over from scratch with roaches or amoeba or whatever the fuck else can survive our insanity, because that's what it is. Humanity insanity. That's good. I'm gonna write that down for my potential band name. Humanity insanity, man. All right. So, yeah, for our human insanity, it's inevitable, and I don't want it to be inevitable. I want to give us a little bit better chance than inevitability. Even if it's just that little 1% or 0.001%, whatever it is, as long as there's that little chance. But at our current rate, I don't think that there is. I don't believe there's any chance that we'll stumble out of the intoxicated madness that is our current human species evolution. It's like we're all just stumbling around blind. And that's just no way to live. There's no reason for that. We have the ability to see. Unlike any other species on this planet, we have the ability to see things nobody, like nothing else does. And we ignore it. We don't use it. We don't trust it. We don't believe it. We don't care, maybe. We don't love it. We fear it. We fear that by having to live interdependently of it, we become subject to it rather than it being subjected to us. It has to be that. I think I just realized for me, that's what our society is doing. It's the fear that we'll be subject to it rather than it being subject to us. And control freaks, that's all fear. It's all fear. It's the fear that something else is going to have power over you rather than you having power over it. But it's an illusion. It still has the same power over you, and you have the same power over it. By trying to gain power over something else, you're essentially just dooming yourself and potentially that other thing also. Because it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. That's the big deal. This is not sustainable. No matter what anybody says, there's nothing someone could say to me that could possibly make me believe that our current progress is sustainable. It's not. Now, one way or another, what I believe is going to happen, one way or another, either we're going to continue progressing in our current evolutionary path, which we'll destroy ourselves and probably many other species on this planet that didn't deserve it, or we'll step out of that. Just step onto another path. I've done it numerous times in my life. I know it's possible. If I can do it as a singular person, we can do it as a group. I know this. Just from here, just move over there. Just like an inch that direction. If we all just like took a step up to the side, then started moving forward again. Let's just leave this stuff here real quick. This is all stuff we don't need. This is the political structure we have, and the corporate structure we have, and the religious structure we have, and all that shit that it doesn't add up. 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2 over here. Let's move back to the math line where numbers add up again, where lives equal more than dollars, where love is like greater than the power to control, and art and inspiration and beauty are cherished and embraced rather than belittled and whatever. Let's do that. I'm making a call to all. Let's do that. Let's just move over. I mean, we don't need everyone. Let's just, if people want to continue on this path, the few, if there's enough of us, we can just kind of create our own little thing and go, no, you guys go ahead and, you do you, we gonna do we, and hopefully you won't destroy everything in the process of what you're doing. Then again, I mean, if I had it my way, we wouldn't allow people to do that. And I know that sounds very much like the same thing a lot of people are saying, is like, don't allow people into our country. Don't allow people to fucking live free. Don't allow people to carry guns. Don't allow people. But no, I mean like this. I'm not talking about your personal freedom of choice. I'm talking about the survival of many species on this planet, including our own. We really shouldn't be letting people do this. And that's up to the rest of us. There's a few bad apples. Out of the 7 billion-ish people that are on this fucking rock, there's whatever, 1 or 2% of them are the people that are like vying for unlimited power and control and gain and wealth and manipulation and slavery and fucking. We all know that's not okay. We all know that that's leading to our own dooms. So let's stop letting them do that. Let's just stop it. All right, fucking just don't let them do it. Like, I would talk about the stuff growing up with my family, and we're all, by we all, I mean they are all very religious, the majority of them, very Southern Baptist religious, Texan, beer, football, America. That's my family in a nutshell. And I'm the black sheep. I'm the anti-American, anti-government structure, corporation. I don't think any of it is serving us anymore currently, in a positive way. And my mom, I would always say, I can't handle it this way. I used to be a lot angrier, actually, because it all just confused me growing up, like the hypocrisy and everything. Reading the Bible and shit just made me cringe, and it all just confused me. It literally was a joke that seemed to be being played on me. And then, I realized obviously it wasn't directed at me specifically, and I kind of got over the anger issues of it, but it still irks me. It still kind of drives me up the wall. She would say, or I would say, this shit's fucked up, dude. Your shit's fucked up. And she would almost every time, like clockwork, just be like, that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. Well, my response was always, it, that's just the way it is, because everyone keeps saying that's just the way it is. It doesn't have to be that. We could all literally at any moment be like, no, that's not the way, and it would stop being that way. So let's do that. People, my brothers and my sisters, let's do that. Stop letting it be the way that it is, and it'll stop. Maybe one day the priority won't be celebrity status and hairstyles and fashion, and maybe one day it won't be about political intrigue and reality TV and Facebook posts of who gives a shit, and maybe one day it'll be love. Maybe one day there will be more for us. I mean, I believe it's there now. It's already within us. We all have it. We all feel it. We all want it. It's what all of us. It's such insanity to me. Like, we all want it so badly. We all dream of it. We all talk about it all the time. We want that special connection, that beauty, that love, and we're not willing to accept it. It's here. We just have to choose it. It's literally right here. We just have to choose it. Why are we not choosing that? Why? Why are we not choosing it? Just a little something to think on, maybe. What are you going to choose?